Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Breaking news this noon in Durham. We're live at the American Tobacco Complex where there's a large police presence. These are live pictures from Sky 5 right now. We'll tell you what prompted that response.
And tomorrow afternoon, there are likely to be some storms that could be strong to severe. I'll show you who will be affected and what time you'll see the rain. Plus, the list of businesses that are shuttering in Raleigh is growing. The latest to close its doors and the reason behind the decision.
Right here, our Sky 5 video is right over the American Tobacco campus in Durham, where a shooting nearby led to a campus-wide alert. School evacuations, major law enforcement response there. Good afternoon to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. This has all played out within the last hour or so. Information about what happened continues to come in. WRAL's Monica Casey is live at American Tobacco with what she's learned from those at the scene. Monica.
Yeah, Renee, about 3,000 people are on this campus. There are many businesses, a daycare, a high school. There was a shooting near the campus here that prompted an alert just before 10 this morning. Then an incorrect 911 call for an active shooter at the high school through these doors. That prompted a lockdown of the school. Now, we are told by American Tobacco Management that just before 10, two people exchanged shots over in the area of Julian Carr Street, that's near Jackie Robinson. The campus issued an alert and the school went into lockdown. Durham police were already here on scene when that incorrect 911 call of an active shooter at Cristo Rey High School came in. Then students evacuated the school as law enforcement searched inside and did not find a shooter. Now, if you take a look at your screen here, we have obtained surveillance photos of people who may have been involved in the shooting near here today. You can see two different males, one with a backpack. This is the second incident like this in a week. Last Thursday, around 6 p.m., a man was shot in the 300 block of West Pettigrew Street and then ran on foot over to the bus stop where he was taken to the hospital by police. In that case from last week, police are looking for a black Honda Accord. Also in that case, that shooting prompted another campus-wide alert here at American Tobacco.
All right, Monica Casey live there on the American Tobacco campus, sorting this all out for us. New this noon, day 3 of the hush money trial for former President Donald Trump began with the judge dismissing a woman previously selected to serve on the jury.
This woman expressed serious concerns after friends and family asked her if she was a juror, based on reports in the media about those who have been selected. The judge dismissed her after she said she didn't think she could remain anonymous through all this. Here's Eric Shawn reporting.
Former President Donald Trump returning to the New York City courtroom on Thursday as 96 more potential jurors are questioned in his hush money trial. Attorneys need a total of 18, 12 who will judge the case, and 6 alternates. Jury selection is moving faster than expected, with fewer jurors saying they could not be fair and impartial to the former president. Trump is now complaining, though, about the process. He says his lawyer should be given an unlimited number of chances to reject potential jurors who are against him. But under New York state law, both the defense and prosecutors are given only 10 strikes for no reason. They are given additional strikes when selecting alternates.
2 different ways to strike jurors. One for cause, meaning that they have a bias. That's unlimited. Now, Judge Merchant has not been very tolerant to the defense on that, and he should be. On the other side is 10 preemptory challenges. You get to strike 10 people for no reason at all.
Once the jury is seated, it will be tasked with deciding whether the former president is guilty of falsifying business records to cover up a sex scandal during the 2016 presidential race. Trump says he does intend to testify at the trial, but in a filing released Wednesday, DA Alvin Bragg says he'll ask the former president about recent verdicts against him, including his real estate fraud case and the E. Jean Carroll Defamation Award.
And the former president is expected to hold a rally on Saturday in Wilmington. It would be the first appearance on the campaign trail since the hush money trial began. Trump won the North Carolina GOP presidential primary on March 5th and has carried the state in each of the 2 previous bids for him for president in 2016 and 2020.
Meanwhile, President Joe Biden is set to receive endorsements from several members of the Kennedy family today in Philadelphia. They've been trying to distance themselves from Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's launched a third-party presidential bid. One of his sisters, Carrie Kennedy, will introduce Biden at the event. The Kennedys are concerned RFK Jr. could undermine Biden's chances of defeating Donald Trump.
Parts of our viewing area have a level 1 risk for severe storms tomorrow, and Elizabeth Gardner is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a look at the timeline and who will be affected by this. Elizabeth.
We're looking at these storms to develop tomorrow afternoon, and from the Triangle area southward and westward, that's where we would have the best chance of seeing any severe storms, which would have winds at 58 miles per hour or stronger, which could do some minor damage. Let's take a look at the big picture. We have quiet weather over us right now, but this is the next system that's going to come rolling in tomorrow, and it has a ways to go, so it is likely to be a fairly fast mover. Here's Futurecast early tomorrow morning. Now, we'll be clear overnight tonight. We might start off with a little bit of sunshine, but notice how Futurecast has some clouds for us pretty early in the day. At lunchtime, things are fairly quiet, and all of this on this version of Futurecast is well to the south. So at about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we're seeing this cell down around Fayetteville, moving past Clinton and Goldsboro, and then on to the east as we get into, say, 5 or 6 p.m. After that, we're not looking at any more rain. Now, the models have been a little bit all over the place. Some of the runs have been a little bit earlier than this, say between 2 and 4 o'clock. This one is between, say, 3 and 5 o'clock, but all situated in our southern county. So if you look at that version of Futurecast, there's not much that happens. But again, 1 or 2 of those cells, even though we don't have a lot of activity, could still produce some severe storms. Again, starting just after lunchtime and continuing until around 5 or 6 p.m. We have more rain in the forecast for the weekend. I'll show you coming up.
The list of downtown Raleigh businesses shutting their doors is growing. Armadillo Grill is the latest to close for good. WRAL's Sean Gallagher is in downtown Raleigh to find out what this means for the Glenwood South area. Sean, this was a surprise to a lot of folks.
Yeah, this was very abrupt, Renee, so abrupt that we've seen a handful of people coming up here trying to get lunch on this Thursday afternoon, and they're met with this sign on the door letting them know that they are shut down for good, effective immediately at this location. Now, this Tex-Mex restaurant called the corner of Glenwood Avenue and Tucker Street home for the last 22 years. In a Facebook post, the owners say changes in the restaurant industry and rising costs are why they're shutting down this location. It's the latest in a string of staple businesses in Raleigh closing. Clouds Brewing shut down its Raleigh Tap Room on West Street earlier this month, and then Capitol Club 16 is shutting down at the end of this month. Armadillo Grill said they will look for another location to serve the Raleigh community, but for Sharon McCracken, a gardenscape designer for businesses around this area, this is just a sign of the evolution of the neighborhood.
It's elevating right now. People that are not able to kind of roll with it are naturally coming to an end, and maybe there'll be another spot that's perfect for them. But you can definitely feel that there is a change going on the streets of downtown Raleigh.
And Armadillo Grill will start or still offer their catering services here, and they will still operate their flagship location in Carborough. But Renee, that's about 40 minutes away, right near UNC's campus.
Loyal customers will have to drive a lot farther, and we will see what ends up taking its place there on Glenwood Avenue. Sean Gallagher reporting live in downtown Raleigh.
More kids across North Carolina are going to pre-K than previous few years, and that's according to a new report out today from the National Institute for Early Education Research. WRAL's Noah Klein is here with how the numbers break down and how North Carolina compares to the rest of the country. Noah?
Yeah, Jeff, let's start with the newest numbers here. So parents enrolled more than 25,600 4-year-olds into public pre-K programs for the 2022 to 23 school year. That's about 21% of 4-year-olds there across the state. The number is up from the previous year, but important context, it's still slightly lower from the 22% pre-pandemic. So you see, it's a slight change, but nonetheless, a change in itself. In terms of the big picture here, North Carolina ranks 29th in the nation when it comes to how many children are enrolled. On quality, North Carolina is one of only 13 states that met at least 9 of the Institute's 10 benchmarks. Now, the state fell short on the Institute's standard for professional development for pre-K staff. When you look at funding, how much money is coming in here, North Carolina is slightly above average despite decreasing spending on a per-child basis. WRAL's Education Insider says while funding is happening, it's not enough to meet that demand right now.
So the state relies on partners to actually be the ones opening up
these early education, these pre-K learning centers. And a lot of those providers, the dollars just aren't adding up. They can get this reimbursement from the state, but it actually costs them a lot more to run these programs. And so a lot of them there just aren't enough providers opening up seats in these programs.
Much more to talk about here. Emily and state government reporter Paul Spey analyzed this report. They put this article up over on WRAL.com. You'll find it over in the education section. Jeff?
All right, so we have quality, just not enough. All right, Noah, thank you. Duke University is transitioning a scholarship for black undergraduate students to a leadership program. The move comes after the end of affirmative action. The Reginaldo Howard Memorial Scholarship honored first African-Americans elected president of the university's undergraduate student government in 1970. Duke established the scholarship in 1979. The university now says the leadership program will continue to support the legacy of students who mirror Howard.
People who work in Durham Public Schools will get a chance to share what they think of next year's budget today. Leading up to tonight's board meeting, the Durham Association of Educators has planned a rally tonight. Employees are rallying for better pay. Tonight, the board will review a new proposed budget. Interim Superintendent Kathy Moore is requesting $8 million. That would fund salaries for classified staff, and that's people like therapists, teachers' assistants, and transportation workers.
Kraft Heinz Foods is being sued after a report about a heavy metal content in Lunchables. Last week, 5 on Your Side told you Consumer Reports found concerning levels of lead and other heavy metals in their popular children's food kits. While the levels are below regulatory limits, CR says over time they can lead to health and developmental problems. A New York mother filed a class action lawsuit last week, citing CR's testing and accusing Kraft Heinz of false, misleading, and deceptive advertising.
Next at noon, more storms in the Midwest. The damage left behind after tornado watches made for dangerous conditions in several states.
Also, an unbearable way to get a selfie. These folks didn't think so, but hear what experts are saying about this stunt.
Plus, 911 emergency services are slowly coming back online. At 12:30, the states affected and the investigation into the cause.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
Risking life and limb all for a selfie. A group of people was caught on camera this week pulling bear cubs out of a tree to take a picture, while others ran for safety. Taylor Thompson spoke with bear advocates who are outraged.
She's holding the bear.
You can see the alarming video here of these individuals pulling the cubs from the tree and then holding one of them to take a selfie. Ashley Hobbs with NC Wildlife says this video was reported to them on Tuesday evening.
An apartment complex out in the Fairview area. That officer did ask me to assist him in response to that. So I did get on site and I saw the cub.
While multiple cubs are seen on camera, when Hobbs arrived, she says there was only one still there, adding that the cub was wet, cold, and had been alone for quite some time.
Very traumatic to be pulled out of a tree like that.
Thankfully, the cub was not harmed and is now in a rehab facility.
We did follow up with the people who pulled the bear out of the tree. We did confront them on site that day. We let them know how irresponsible and potentially deadly it could be for that cub to be separated from its mom.
Hobbs says it's really frustrating to preach about coexisting with bears and then to see videos like this. And she's not the only one frustrated, as former director of Help Asheville Bears, Jody Williams, was equally as disturbed.
She's holding the bear.
All for a selfie. All for a selfie.
Did you just drop it?
I can see that you're shaking right now.
Yeah,
I mean, what's your initial thoughts watching that?
Super high anxiety. I feel bad for the cubs. I feel bad for the ignorance of those people.
Williams says this is an example of exactly what not to do.
Total selfishness. This is not what we talk about when we talk about coexisting.
Hobbs says this is a pretty rare situation to see.
To have, someone blatantly intervene with wildlife like this.
And she's hopeful this can be used as a serious educational moment.
Taylor Thompson reporting there, and authorities are still investigating to determine if charges will be filed.
Another round of dangerous storms rolled through the Midwest, toppling trees and power lines, prompting tornado watches overnight in Pennsylvania. Those dangerous winds swept through several states, including Ohio, Missouri, and Michigan. Iowa's governor even issued a disaster declaration. NBC's Maggie Vespa shows us the damage from hard-hit Ferndale, Michigan.
Officials here in Ferndale, Michigan refer to yesterday's storm as, quote, quick but unbelievably wild. They say wind speeds here topped 70 miles per hour, ripping apart the roof of this restaurant and this tire shop behind me and then tossing large pieces of it onto these cars in the parking lot below. This latest line of storms kind of sweeping through here, parts of the Midwest, as well as the Ohio River Valley in Bucyrus, Ohio, about an hour north of Columbus. We saw a lot of buildings damaged there, a lot of downed trees and power lines. And as we know, this is just the latest chapter in a week of violent weather. More broadly, we've seen more than 24 reported tornadoes across 5 states since Monday. Iowa's governor declaring a disaster in 6 counties there after tornadoes touched down earlier this week. Miraculously, we haven't seen any reports of serious injuries as a result of these storms. Maggie Vespa, NBC News, Ferndale, Michigan.
And this is the time of year when we see very active storms like that. The Midwest can't catch a break.
No, it's staying to our north, but moving across a lot of states, doing a lot of damage. Elizabeth Gardner, meantime, in our WRAL Severe Weather Center right now with a look at our hot weather today.
We've already hit 80 degrees across parts of the viewing area, aiming for almost 90. Probably going to keep it in the upper 80s in the Triangle, but down in Fayetteville, we could hit 90. And if we do, it'll be the first time this year that we've hit 90 degrees. Spotty storms on Friday. We walked through that at the beginning of the newscast, but in case you missed it, we'll walk through the timeline again for you coming up in just a minute or two. Most likely, we'll see this starting just after lunchtime and continuing into the early evening. This isn't something that should last all through the evening and all through the night. Then over the weekend, we've been watching the potential for rain. Saturday's trending drier. We're looking still at the potential for some wet conditions on Sunday. Let's take a look at what's happening out there in Apex. People are walking around enjoying a nice afternoon. Our humidity is on the low side. Sunshine is beautiful. It is warm, 81 degrees right now. And then again, we're headed up to say 87 around 4 or 5 o'clock. 87 in Durham as well, and potentially 90 in Fayetteville. Lots of sunshine for the rest of the day. Officially at RDU, the earliest 90-degree day we've seen is March 12th. That happened back in 1990, and the average is May 11th. So if we were to hit 90 today officially at RDU, we'd be about 3 weeks ahead of what's normal. The latest, June 27th, back in 1983. June 27th sounds like the perfect time to have our first 90-degree day. All right, our pollen counts are high. Oak, sweet gum, and poplar are still causing problems for folks who suffer with allergies. But the yellow pine pollen is almost gone, and that's good news. I've started to clean off my porch. It's, what a mess. Tomorrow for our severe weather threat from the Triangle area southward and westward, that's where we'll have the best chance of seeing any severe storms. And the newer runs of the computer models today are really showing things far to the south. So this is lunchtime. We're still fairly dry at that point. And then we see some cells developing early to mid-afternoon and moving through our southern counties and then out by around 6 or 7 with maybe a little bit more trailing behind. And then that's pretty much it. So if you did have plans to be out of town or heading out of town on Friday or heading out to a restaurant or to an event on Friday, it does look like, again, it's going to be confined down to the south and moving out by around 6 or 7 o'clock. And the rest of the area should be just fine. Now, anytime we have a potential for thunderstorms or severe storms like this, we could end up seeing them in any part of the viewing area, but our models have been trending the southern half of our area. 73 is our normal high. We do see cooler temperatures over the weekend. 75 Saturday, looking at 63 degrees on Sunday. So that's going to be a big change for us, going from the 80s to the 70s and then 60s. Sunday will be an overcast day with a good chance of rain from south to north. We'll walk you through the timeline of that on Sunday coming up. You can see after that, we're definitely cooler for the next few days.
Elizabeth, thanks. Now here's a look at what we're following for our evening news. First at 4. Summer's coming up right around the corner, and parents, you're thinking about summer camps for your kids. We're looking at how you can save money while still giving your kids a great experience.
Then at 6, they power our phones, toys, even lawn tools. So how safe are they? 5 on your side's Keely Arthur asks an expert about the potential dangers of lithium batteries and if it's something you need to worry about. Plus, still ahead this noon, plant-based diets have a reputation of being bland and not appetizing. Not always so, though. Later, we'll bust the myths surrounding this healthy meal plan.
Also, Jewish institutions are stepping up security ahead of Passover. The warning from the FBI that prompted this action. Wendy's has free fries every Friday for the rest of the year. And a key union vote is underway at a U.S. Volkswagen plant. Those are among today's business headlines with Maribel Aber.
Volkswagen workers at a Tennessee plant are voting on whether to organize with the United Auto Workers. It's a big test for the UAW. A win would mark its first victory at an automaker outside of General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis. Previously, it had lost union drives at the Tennessee VW plant in both 2014 and 2019. And the UAW is coming off wins with record contracts following strikes at the big three U.S. automakers last year. More than 4,000 Volkswagen workers are eligible to vote. The voting started yesterday and ends tomorrow night. President Biden is calling for a steep increase in tariffs on steel and aluminum imports from China. Biden is asking U.S. trade officials to hike a key tariff rate to 25%. Right now, it's 7.5%. And the move comes as the administration also studies whether to raise tariffs on a variety of Chinese exports to the U.S. Those include everything from solar products to electric vehicles and batteries. The call for higher tariffs also comes as trade becomes a focus in the presidential election. Wendy's is giving away French fries every Friday for the rest of the year. You can get any size of fries free with any purchase in the Wendy's app. So once you log in, you'll be able to see the offer. The fast food chain says it's a way to give fans of the fries a pick-me-up after a long week. The free fries offer starts tomorrow, April 19th. And those are your business headlines. I'm Maribel Aber at the NASDAQ Market Site.
If your job is not very demanding, it could put you at risk of cognitive decline and dementia when you get older. A new study found having an occupation that's not mentally stimulating was linked to a 66% higher risk of mild cognitive impairment. That's compared with having a job with high cognitive and interpersonal demands. So in summary, your work is really important for your cognitive health. Confidence in public institutions is at its lowest rate since 2015 among young Americans. A Harvard poll asked 18 to 29-year-olds if they trusted different U.S. institutions to do the right thing. Only a third said they trusted leaders to do the right thing. In a potential rematch between President Biden and former President Trump, 50% of respondents say they backed Biden and 37% backed Trump, and the rest were unsure.
The conflict in the Middle East cost dozens of Google employees their jobs, the issue at the center of their dismissals.
911 service has mostly been restored after agencies in at least 4 states reported interruptions. Now the search is on for the cause. And here's a look at your winning NC Education lottery numbers.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Welcome back. We want to get back to that breaking news we first told you about at the top of the hour. A shooting near the American Tobacco campus in Durham led to a campus-wide alert, school evacuation, and major law enforcement response. Police are now clearing the scene, but the investigation is ongoing. WRAL's Monica Casey is live at American Tobacco with what she's learned within the past 25 minutes. Monica.
Yeah, Renee, this is the area where police say there was a shooting around 10 this morning. They responded to a shots fired call at this parking garage near Jackie Robinson. The scene extended into the parking lot over here, but you can see it is mostly clear now. Sky 5 flew over all of this when it happened. You can see a large law enforcement presence here earlier this morning. The American Tobacco campus issued an alert to people here about this shooting. Then around 11, there was a report of an active shooter in the area, and Cristo Rey High School went into lockdown. When police arrived to search, they evacuated their school building here on campus. Police searched inside and did not find a shooter. Those students are now back in class. Now, we have obtained surveillance photos of people who may be involved in the shooting today. You can see 2 different men here one with a backpack. Durham police say they found shell casings and an empty car that had been hit by a bullet at that crime scene. Now, this is the second incident like this in a week in this area. Last Thursday around 6 p.m., a man was shot in the 300 block of West Pettigrew Street and ran to the bus stop nearby. In that case, police are looking for a black Honda Accord. This entire campus was also alerted when that incident happened last week. Renee?
Some scary moments for that area that is so vibrant, that sees a lot of foot traffic there. We'll keep following this investigation. Monica, thank you.
911 emergency services are coming back online after city and statewide outages across the country. Several cities across 4 states reported outages. The cause is under investigation. NBC's Aaron McLaughlin reports.
All north side units is advised having 911 issues.
Overnight, emergency services down. 911 outages affecting parts of multiple states and even whole city police departments. As cyber attacking remains a major concern for authorities across the country.
Rescue dispatcher 49.
Across 4 states, residents unable to reach police or ambulances, with a full statewide outage in South Dakota. In Nebraska, local authorities saying landlines were still getting through, but all carriers were down Wednesday night except for T-Mobile. The border city of Del Rio, Texas, issuing a community alert.
You may have difficulty reaching us internally, and we're having difficulty receiving 911 calls as well.
And overnight in busy Las Vegas, residents couldn't get through to 911 on cell phones or landlines for 2 hours. Law enforcement having to come up with a workaround.
They will not be able to talk to a person, but we'll get the phone number. Law enforcement agency will call them back. They will transfer that call to our cell phone, and they will then be able to talk to a live person, and we will dispatch the appropriate units.
It's unclear what caused the outages, but it comes as the Department of Homeland Security has told officials to be on the lookout for cyber threats. The government warning in the past that there's an increased risk of cyber attacks to 911 services as they move to internet-based systems. Many Americans relieved, but searching for an explanation as services come back online this morning.
Google fired dozens of employees who protested the company's cloud computing deal with the Israeli government. The workers staged protests inside Google's offices in New York and California this week. Google says the workers refused to leave the premises and had to be taken out by law enforcement. The group that organized the protests condemned the dismissals. Federal agents are on alert for any potential threats to the U.S. Jewish community ahead of the start of the Passover holiday on Monday. FBI Director Christopher Wray says the agency is concerned lone actors could target large gatherings, high-profile events, or symbolic or religious locations for violence. The FBI has observed homegrown violence, a surge in hoax threats against Jewish facilities, and a range of threats from abroad.
State elections officials are urging lawmakers to put aside more funding to update the state's system. Lawmakers return next week to work on budget adjustments for the upcoming year. They haven't fully funded a system upgrade for the state's election software. It dates back to 1998. State Elections Director Karen Brinson Bell compared it to an old Atari video game in the age of smartphones. She said it needs to be modernized to keep elections smooth and secure.
We have the designation of critical infrastructure right now, and that means that we are it's critical to keep us operational as it is our power plants or our water system. So we should fund elections with that recognition of significance as well.
Bell said the Elections Board also needs more support staff to help county offices. This November, 30 out of our 100 counties will be led by new directors who have never managed a presidential election.
Later today, you can learn more about how to become a Durham police officer. DPD is hosting a hiring event at police headquarters from 6 to 7. You can learn more about the hiring process, salary and benefits, and training requirements. If you can't make it in person, you can also register through DPD to learn more through a Zoom meeting. What you need to know if you're thinking about switching to a plant-based diet. We'll tackle the misconceptions about lack of protein and variety.
And it's so hard to say goodbye to a beloved hockey team. Why the Arizona Coyotes are moving to a new state. Take WRAL News with you to go. Download the WRAL News app to stay up to date on breaking news, weather alerts, and stories that matter to you.
How about this view? You're looking live at Carolina Beach. Perfect beach weather if you like it in the 80s and without that sticky humidity. You're watching WRAL News, available on YouTube TV and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device.
Many people opt for a plant-based diet for health, cultural, and religious beliefs. But some people shy away from a plant-based diet because of misconceptions. One of the biggest misconceptions about plant-based diets is that it's difficult to get enough protein. But plant-based sources of protein include beans, legumes, some nuts, and seeds. Registered dietitians also say the colors associated with different fruits and vegetables contain phytonutrients that can help boost your immune function. Dreamville Festival organizers teamed up with a nonprofit to help train people on the use of a life-saving tool. The nonprofit, called This Must Be the Place, trained people right at the festival how to respond to fentanyl overdoses. They also passed out Narcan. 1,700 people signed up for this 3-minute training right on site, and they're now ready to help someone in need.
North Carolina parents who rely on ADHD medications for their children are finding them in short supply. That's leaving them struggling to get prescriptions filled. Most insurance providers only cover the generic forms of the drug Vyvanse and Focalin, but pharmacies are having a difficult time stocking them. That is, families who rely on the drug at the mercy of their insurance providers and the drug makers.
We pay $371 for a 30-day supply. So multiply that times 2, and that's what I'm paying every month for our medication.
Here's what pharmacists recommend if you need this medicine. Let your pharmacist know at least a week early when you're coming to the end of your supply. Call your pharmacy before getting a prescription sent there to see if the medication is in stock. And work with your doctor to see if there are alternative medications you or your children can take.
Doing something brave in the midst of tragedy. Right when we return, we will share one man's reason for completing the Boston Marathon.
There's unfortunate, and then there's mindless. How one of the Kelsey brothers says he lost his Super Bowl ring during a fan event. Some Disneyland workers are fighting for better working conditions and pay. Around 1,700 employees are taking steps to achieve union recognition from Disney. These are parade and character actors who say their working conditions are unsustainable. Some workers say they've been permanently injured on the job. Others complain of being told they're replaceable, not being allowed full-time hours, and not being paid when rain disrupts shifts.
We are the performers, storytellers, and entertainers that create the magic of Disneyland. Every day, Characters and Parades cast members are the face and voice of the Walt Disney Company, and we deserve to be treated that way.
If the union were formed, it would be part of the Actors Equity Association.
We're getting used to seeing college athletes move between schools. It's commonly known as the transfer portal now. The NCAA is now making it easier for players to switch teams. A new rule change will allow student athletes to make unlimited transfers and play immediately at their new schools. Previously, they could only do that once, and then they would need to sit out a year if they transferred again. WRAL Sports investigative reporter Brian Murphy says it gives new opportunities to the players, but it brings challenges for coaches.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough on coaches, right? Not only do you have to recruit a player, you have to re-recruit him. You have to keep him on your campus.
Fans will at least be able to get attached to players for a full season because players will not be able to play for 2 different teams within the same season. It was an emotional finish at the Boston Marathon this week. Patrick Clancy ran the race in honor of his 3 young children, murdered by his wife, who was suffering a mental health emergency. Clancy ran the marathon with their names written on his back. He helped raise more than $73,000 for Miles for Miracles, a program that supports Boston Children's Hospital.
After 27 seasons in Arizona, the Coyotes are on the move to Salt Lake City, but they want to give their devoted fans one last thrill. The Coyotes closed out their Arizona tenure as winners, beating the Edmonton Oilers 5-2 Wednesday night. In just a few hours, the NHL Board of Governors is expected to approve the sale of the team to Utah Jazz owner Ryan Smith for a reported $1.2 billion. The Coyotes will then move to Salt Lake City and play at the Delta Center while a new arena is constructed. Only 2 days until it's Stanley Cup playoff time again in Raleigh. The puck drops at 5 Saturday afternoon for Game 1 of the Canes' first-round series against the New York Islanders, and that will be at PNC Arena. The series will be a rematch of the first-round matchup between the teams last season. The Canes took down the Islanders in 6 games in that series. The full schedule for this year's first round will come out tonight once all the league's regular season games end. Oh, still hockey season in April. It's exciting.
When you're playing in April, you know you're doing the right thing.
Exactly.
Right?
It's a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. So Canes in 5 in this first series. That's what I think. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center right now, looking at our next system coming through while we look at that next round of the playoffs.
Yes. So we're going to start with Friday, but this lasts into Saturday and Sunday, too. Looking at a low pressure system that's going to help to bring us the most rain in the next 3 days. And that happens on Sunday. We're going to see a cold front sliding through to bring us a few thunderstorms for tomorrow evening. And then it sits down here. A low develops and pushes rain up on Sunday. Saturday looking pretty dry in between. And we're going to see cooler temperatures on Sunday once that front sinks farther to the south. Of course, we talked about our level 1 risk for severe storms for tomorrow from the Triangle area southward and westward. Damaging winds would be our biggest threat. We're really not looking at a whole lot of coverage from these storms, but again, 1 or 2 of these could become strong to severe. I mean, you see these really bright red and yellow colors starting at around 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon around Fayetteville and Clinton, and then gradually sliding over into the southern part of Wayne County too. So again, early to mid-afternoon up until around the time of the evening commute or just around dinner time. And then it looks like things are going to clear out after that. You know, when you see these thunderstorms bubble up, the computer models do the best they can trying to predict that. But we could see a shower or thunderstorm anywhere. It just looks like it's going to be more likely in our southern counties. Let's kick things off on Saturday morning with some cloud cover. Saturday will be cloudy but still mild with highs in the low 80s. And we may see a few breaks in the clouds during the afternoon. Saturday looks dry until well into the evening, and you can see that little batch of showers that develops around 7 or 8 o'clock down to the south. So if we see any rain Saturday, it would likely be evening in the south. And then we'll jump ahead to Sunday, and Sunday starts off cloudy, but we'll be watching the development of that low, pushing some rain northward. We could start to see some rain in the viewing area as early as lunchtime, and it will start in the south and spread northward. The timing of this has been tricky all week long, so keep checking in, but it looks like we'll see an increasing chance of rain from south to north across the area on Sunday afternoon. You can see that chance continuing to go up overnight, but some of that rain overnight Sunday night may be fairly heavy. Right now we're looking at maybe a half an inch to an inch of rain, but that may be adjusted as we get a little better handle on the timing of that rain on Sunday. We definitely need some rain. We have had a good bit of our viewing area now go under abnormally dry conditions. Last week the line was right about here, so we've added a lot more of our north and northeastern counties to that drought monitor with that abnormally dry ranking for this week. 87 today. Can we hit 90 in a
Well, let's soak in this gorgeous view of White Lake. Look at all that blue sky and sunshine out there, and temperatures in the mid to upper 80s today. As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we're following today.
A shooting near American Tobacco campus in Durham prompted an alert, a school evacuation, and major law enforcement response. We're told by American Tobacco management that around 10:30 this morning, 2 people exchanged gunfire over on Julian Carr Street. The campus issued an alert, and school officials had everyone evacuate the school building. Officers searched the school and did not find a shooter.
1 person is dead after a home in Chapel Hill caught fire overnight. When firefighters arrived at the home on Rogerson Drive around 1:30 this morning, the house was in flames. Some pieces of the house look like they collapsed in the fire. Chapel Hill fire crews were at the home for nearly 7 hours. We're reaching out to learn who died.
More kids across North Carolina are going to pre-K than previous years. That's according to a new report from the National Institute for Early Education Research. North Carolina ranks 29th in the country when it comes to how many children are enrolled. However, ours was one of only 13 states that met at least 9 of the Institute's 10 benchmarks.
Songs by the Notorious B.I.G., ABBA, Blondie, and Green Day are now on the National Recording Registry. Their songs, along with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, were among the 25 recordings the Library of Congress has named audio treasures. The new titles bring the total number of songs selected for the National Recording Registry to 650. Taylor Swift fans are coming to her defense after snippets of songs from her new album were reportedly leaked on X. The Tortured Poets Department is scheduled to drop tomorrow. Swifties took to X, shaming anyone actively seeking out leaks. If the leaks prove to be legit, this would not be the first time one of Swift's albums found its way to the public prior to release day. 1989 leaked 3 days before its drop date.
How about this for careless actions? Retired Philadelphia Eagles offensive lineman Jason Kelce says he lost his Super Bowl ring during a live fan event last week. The event involved people digging through a pool of chili to find replicas of Jason's 2018 Super Bowl ring. The actual ring, though, was also in that pool, and now it's gone. Kelce believes the ring is now in a landfill somewhere. Not to worry, though, he has already filed an insurance claim. This afternoon, you can pick up some much-needed pet supplies in Chatham County. The Chatham County Animal Resource Center is hosting a drive-through pet food and supply giveaway. It's happening from 4 to 7 this evening in the Sheriff's Office parking lot in Pittsboro. Other giveaways are planned for Saturday in Siler City and next Saturday at Northeast District Park.
It's time to meet our pet of the day from Hope Animal Rescue. Jerry here is a fun-loving, affectionate pup who's eager to become the newest member of your family. He's a social butterfly who loves everyone from adults to kids and even other furry friends. Plus, you can rest easy knowing that Jerry sleeps soundly through the night in his crate. His irresistible charm and boundless affection are sure to make every day brighter. So don't wait. Contact hopeanimals.org to meet Jerry and let the fun begin.
Jerry. He is cute. Summer camp registration is just around the corner. It's likely going to cost you a bit more than in the past. Today at 4, how you can get the best bang for your buck.
Thanks for spending your lunch hour with us. We're going to go out and enjoy the beautiful sunshine now. NBC News Daily is next on WRAL, your next local news update in 30 minutes.
All right, enjoy the warm weather as well. Get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. And have a great day.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.